Hello everybody, my name is Jeremie. I'm sorry for my very bad French accent, but nobody's perfect. So last year I talked about optimizing App Store downloads. And this year we'll see how to improve the App Store ratings and revenue. So let's start with a little quiz. So according to you, how many apps does the average US consumer have on their smartphone? So please raise your hand if you think it's between 50 and 70. Raise your hand if you think it's between 70 and 90. Raise your hand if you think it's between 90 and 110. And 110 plus. So the correct answer is C. Between 90 and 110 apps are installed on the average US consumer smartphone. This is a 15% growth since 2016, and it clearly shows that consumers want and need mobile apps. And I think also companies are more and more pushing into using apps instead of using web or other means. So the App Store is getting quite huge. There are too many apps, but you'll see how to be successful. Before talking about how to optimize the ratings and revenue, I would like to show a bit of my background and experience. So here is the elapsed time from the release of the app on the App Store and the first 500 downloads for some of my main apps. Last year in XDC in Denver, I explained how to be successful. And I actually applied all of this to the latest app. It took me 3 days. So as usual, I didn't display any ads, didn't even make a press release, but the app was available in 5 languages on day 1. I had optimized keywords, I had localized screenshots, optimized ratings and reviews, and the end result is 12,000 downloads in 20 days. This is just applying what I said, what I explained last year in Denver. So now, why do you need to optimize App Store ratings? All developers are looking for good ratings and reviews, of course. We'll now see how to take advantage of the App Store and even show you how to cheat. So apps with better ratings get a rank boost on the App Store when search results are displayed. So when you see these 2 apps, the first one doesn't have any ratings, the second one has ratings. Clearly, when someone is searching on the App Store, he will see only 2 apps above the fold, and usually the app with the better ratings gets the more downloads. This is also true on Google. When you search for an app on a desktop search, you can see the ratings. It is also true when you search on Google for an app on your smartphone, you can also see the ratings. So basically, an app with the best ratings should get the most amount of downloads. So how can developers get ratings? The first rule is to ask the user to rate the app, because usually users don't rate an app if you don't ask them, unless they are very unhappy with your app, in which case they will put a 1-star review. So to actually ask for a rating, you can use the iRate class I host on GitHub, which can also be used in Mac desktop apps. So you should also ask for rating at the right moment. So when the user, make sure that you're not interrupting what the users are doing. Many apps just ask for a rating whenever you open it, and that's quite bad, because the user only wants one thing, it's to use the app, not to be bothered with another pop-up. So the best timing to ask for a review is when the user has completed something in the app, or when there's a natural break in the flow of using the app. For example, in some banking apps, a rating pop-up is displayed after completing a wire transfer. So basically, the user has done what he's doing, he's happy with it, and he will basically leave a positive review. So now, how to cheat? So this is basically the gray area. The first cheating method is quite subtle for the user, but it can have a great effect on your overall ratings. So I call it the gray area because it is positive for both the users and the developer or the team who made the app. So how to do it? All you need to do is to filter the ratings. When you display your own rating box like this, if the user gives 4 or 5 stars, you would then display the real rating box, which basically the user will give again a good rating, and this will be sent to Apple. But on the other hand, when the user puts a bad rating, you can either ask the user to contact you to tell what's the problem about the app. So this is good for you because you know how to improve the app, or you just don't display anything and the app doesn't get any bad reviews or ratings. Of course, this is forbidden by Apple. But the thing is, if you don't display your own rating box within the first 30 minutes of using the app, Apple will never see it. So now let's get out of the gray area and see how some apps are pushing the limits. So this is a drinking game app that is called Piccolo, and this app cheats a lot. I'm sure most of you, even I'm too old to play drinking games, but if you have kids that are old enough to drink, I bet they have heard about this game. So Piccolo, as I said, is a drinking app. It has a huge market share for the drinking game market on the App Store. It was created by a small company named Marmalap in Paris. So here are the download and revenue stats for March. They had 100,000 downloads, and they made 70K just for March. Last summer, the revenue went up to 150K. Now, these are the reviews. They have 4.8 average review and ratings on the App Store, and over 22,000 ratings on the App Store. But how do they do this? How can they have such good ratings where the app is cheating and pushing people to pay for it? So actually what they do is whenever you play the game, so it has these like dares for drinking, it will pick a random player and ask the player to rate the app 5 stars or to drink or to bottoms up 2 drinks. Basically, when young people are drinking, you have pressure of the group, and if you refuse to rate the app, you will be almost forced to drink 2 drinks. So that's why they get so many good reviews. Drunk people are sometimes stupid. I experienced that. Now let's see another app from the same company. In their latest app, they pushed it even further. The user is asked to rate the app 5 stars on the App Store to unlock some features. The user could, of course, tap on sure, no problem, then send a bad rating, but very few users know that this will actually unlock the feature. Of course, again, this is forbidden by Apple. But just like tax fraud, as long as it works, one continues doing it. So how to optimize the App Store? So how do these apps cheat without being discovered? So it's extremely easy. Some features are disabled by default and activated on the server side as soon as Apple has released the app on the App Store, or sometimes after a certain date. You can see this in many apps where there is a progress wheel displayed just after launching the app, which actually means that the app is retrieving some values or some settings from a database, and it actually changes how the app behaves afterwards. Now let's see how to optimize the App Store revenue. When making consumer apps, unless you have a big marketing team, the best revenue comes from in-app purchases instead of paid apps. Because when you have paid apps, it's quite difficult to push the app on the App Store when people are searching for the app, because as it had less downloads, it will have less, the ranking will be much lower on the App Store when searching for the app. So let's compare freemium and paid apps. So freemium apps, as said in the name, are free to download, compared to paid apps, where one download equals one purchase. Actually, freemium apps get 100 to 1,000 times more downloads than paid apps, and many more ratings too. So overall, the higher revenue comes from freemium apps, but at the condition that you display the premium features at the correct time and you do it properly. So for freemium apps, it is important to monitor the paid conversion rates. This is simply the ratio between purchases and downloads, and give you a percentage. Your goal should be higher than 10% conversion rate. This is actually very difficult to reach, as the App Store average is between 1 and 2%, and it is even lower for Android. But it isn't impossible to achieve. For example, Spotify has a 40% conversion rate. Some of my apps have between 5 and 10, some other have between 20 and 25. But it also depends not only on the app, it also depends on the market. For example, in Taiwan, I have between 25 and 30% conversion rate. In some poorer countries, I would have maybe 1 or 2% conversion rate. So you should also monitor the average revenue per user, which is called ARPU. It's the ratio between revenue and downloads, and this gives you a result in dollars. Your goal should be higher than 10 cents. Usually when you have many downloads and your revenue per user is above 10 cents, this means that your app is worth it. The App Store range for this is between 0, because some apps don't make any money, and then some dating apps have up to $30 revenue per download. So the first advice to improve conversion rates is to show multiple features. You need to display all advantages to the users of why they should become premium, why they should get premium access. If the in-app purchase only removes advertisements, for example, most users won't pay. See this like an open bar party with only one paid drink. Nobody will pay for a drink. But if there are many drinks that need to be paid for, there are higher chances of selling. It's exactly the same for an app. What really worked well in Packer is displaying a time-limited offer for the first 24 hours, where I just display that the app is at 50% of its price. And actually, when I look at all the purchases I have in my apps, so 78% of purchases are made within the first 24 hours because of this. The second thing you can do is display a one-time special offer that shows up when opening the app, sent by a notification, or at a precise moment in the flow. Even better, if the user dismisses the one-time offer, he gets a pop-up saying that you'll never see it again. So that's how actually in some markets I'm able to get up to 20% conversion rate. So for apps that are offering in-app purchases in the form of a subscription, in most cases it is better to show several subscription options. Here is an example of a dating app. There are 3 possible subscriptions: 1 month, 6 months, 12 months. So a dating app is usually short-lived on the user's phone, because as soon as the person has found someone and starting dating someone, they can just delete the app. So offering a 46% discount on a year subscription greatly improves the average revenue per user. On the other hand, some apps offer a service that is used almost on a day-to-day basis for a long time. This is the case of Dashlane, which is a password manager. So this actually explains why they only have one offer, so a yearly subscription, and they don't have different prices, because they know that as soon as someone starts using the app, they'll use it for a long time. So they don't need a 1-month subscription. So now let's see how to cheat. So back to the Never Ever, which is called Nevermind app from Marmal app, they are pushing the limits again. These are the metrics for March. So they have 70K downloads, and they made $300K in revenue. This is actually more than $4 per download, which is huge. But overall, as you can see here, all the red dots below, these are the bad reviews they have on the App Store, but they still make a lot of money. So actually, why do they get bad reviews, and why do they make as much money? This is because whenever you open the app for the first time, a paywall is displayed, and the app is promoted as free. Can you see the price there? No? I can't either. Also, the terms and conditions are in English. For English-speaking people, it doesn't really matter. So the terms and conditions are hidden there below, but they're displayed in English, even if you're opening the app in French, in Italian, and so on. So basically, people don't know that when they tap on free trial, they will be paying for a subscription. And also, the close button at the top right fades in very slowly after 10 seconds. So when someone downloads the app, he just thinks that, okay, it's free, I just tap on free, and it's not a paywall that I can dismiss. So they're actually subscribing to the app as soon as they download it. So actually, this is the price. The price of the app is $4.99 weekly, which makes an app worth $259 yearly. In addition to that, this is a drinking app that most people download when the party has already started. So when people use the app, they don't pay enough attention to the price. Most of them are drunk already, so they just end up paying a lot of money for an app that we'll just use once. Is this allowed by Apple? Well, actually, Apple takes 30% cut out of subscriptions, and as long as they are getting money, they won't say really anything about this app. I'm sure that when the app is sent to Apple, the price is displayed correctly in the correct font, and they just make a transparent font as soon as the app is released. But also, Apple is starting to make things a bit better for the consumers, because now, as soon as you click on the subscribe button, you need to use Touch ID or Face ID to authorize a payment. And then now, since the last 2 weeks, there's another pop-up saying you are actually getting a subscription. So this, I think, will decrease revenue of apps like this, and the consumer will be happier because he actually knows that he's getting a subscription and he has to pay more attention to it. So what is the next step? The next step is to monitor user behavior. If you have two designs or workflows that you would like to implement in your app, implement both and show one half to half of the users, show the other one to the other half. This is called A/B testing. By using a database to slightly change the behavior of your app, you can easily switch to the design that has the highest conversion rate, and that's actually what I did. And if it is database-driven or settings-driven, however you want to implement it, you don't even need to release a new update, which can take some time, or Apple can refuse the update, so it takes even more time. You just implement both workflows or both designs, and it's much faster.
How do you know the performance of each of those? How do you get that feedback?
So the question is, how do I get the feedback? How do I know about this? So actually, I just have these sort of metrics that I send back to my database, so I know which user paid and which user was displayed, which user saw this type of workflow or that type of workflow. I just measure it, make some calculations, and that's how I know which one is better.
So the app is communicating back to a non-Apple database,
Exactly, yes. The app is communicating to a non-Apple database, which is authorized anyway. You can use any kind of database for your app. So this is my Packer app that some of you might have seen last year. The original design for selecting a packing list, the categories is like this on the left. After releasing the app in China, I had an idea for an updated design, like this, which actually resembles many apps that are made for the Chinese market, where there are different colors and these sort of round icons. So I performed A/B testing on both designs and monitored the conversion rate for each design. The end result is 20% better conversion rate by just changing the colors. So as this was database driven, I was able to make to switch from one design to the other very easily for China and apply to all downloads. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this session. Any questions? Yes. Actually, my highest conversion rate is between 25 and 30%, and it's in Taiwan.
Okay.
My second best conversion rate is in Switzerland, and it's around 15%. But then each app is different, each market is different. Overall, for some apps, it would be between 5 and 10. For other apps, it can be up to 15, 20. But it really also depends on the time of the year. For example, Packer, which is a travel app, the conversion rate is much higher in the summer and much lower in winter. Yes. So the question is, how many apps did I write before I found out all this? So actually, the first app I made, which took 10 months to get 500 downloads, it was a complete failure. And I almost decided to stop making apps because it didn't work. Then I released Packer, and actually for Packer, my goal was, okay, I just really want to make this app because I love traveling, I always make checklists. And so I made the app, and my goal was to make $300 per month. So only $300 with one app. So for the first months, I just didn't make any money. Then in July, which was the summertime, had better conversion rates. I made $300. And then the App Store promoted my app on the first page of the App Store for a month in every country. And I made much, much more. But that's where I figured that making an app and putting it on the App Store is not enough. You also need to learn your market, how it works. So actually, to really answer a question, I only made